Okay, everybody, it is June 26, 2025 when I'm recording this one. And first of all, I want to say welcome to the new subscribers and thank you for all the comments as always. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell icon so that you know when I put out a new video. Okay, so the Israeli Iranian war appears to be over. The ceasefire is holding, at least for now, which begs the question, who are the winners and losers of this war? So I'm going to kind of do an analysis of that, and just so everyone knows, part of the analysis will be both short term and long term, and also in terms of whether or not I think someone won or lost. What did they put into it? You know, looking almost like an investment. What did you spend and what did you get for it? So let's start with the big loser of the war, Iran. Iran had literally dozens of their generals killed. They had several of their senior intelligence leaders killed. They had all kinds of military and intelligence, including internal security and intelligence infrastructure destroyed, a lot of headquarter buildings. They had several of their senior nuclear scientists and engineers assassinated. They had several of their nuclear program facilities damaged or destroyed. Billions and billions of dollars of damage, and also it was clear to everybody who watched that Iran is utterly incapable of matching Israel in the air. Their air force basically never got off the ground. Their air defense systems were annihilated. Their ballistic missile program was badly damaged. The Israelis destroyed production facilities. They destroyed storage facilities. They destroyed dozens of their launchers. The Iranians fired hundreds of their missiles, very few of which actually hit anything. Most of which were intercepted and shot down. And then the Israelis also blew up, when they blew up some of the storage facilities, they blew up more of the missiles. I have no idea how many missiles Iran has left, but they certainly have far fewer than they did. And these are very expensive pieces of equipment. The launchers are expensive, the missiles themselves are expensive, and they are not a country with a whole lot of money. They are still under very intense international sanctions. Their economy sucks. Their budget is small. Yes, I know they've got a lot of oil, but they don't really get to they don't really get to export a ton of that. They export some, certainly. So I would say they're a definite loser. Another loser is Russia. Russia lost for a couple of reasons. One, the Iranians are close by. They're not really allies, but they are fairly friendly with Putin. And Putin did not even try to protect them. He did not even attempt to help them. So, very much, if you are a country out there thinking about the idea of what about Russia as a security guarantor or at least a security ally, one thing is clear: they cannot and will not come to your help. Also, their radar systems and surface to air missile systems, anti aircraft systems got obliterated by the Israelis. I mean, absolutely obliterated. They did not shoot down a single Israeli plane. So, if you are simply a country thinking of purchasing Russian air defense or radar equipment, you're at this point you realize you are purchasing something that is completely inferior to Western equipment, to American equipment, to Israeli equipment, to British equipment. You're buying the absolute bottom of the barrel. So I would say Russia is a loser here. Surprising winner in all of this, China. China, not a big winner, small winner. But when Iran was threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz, China came out and said absolutely not, and the Iranians obeyed them. Now, I don't think the Iranians were going to close the Strait of Hormuz anyway, because it would have resulted in the end of their navy, and God only knows what other kind of retaliatory strikes they would have endured. But the fact that China said do not do this took away one of Iran's big negotiating chips, which is the idea that they have a threat. Well, we'll close the Strait of Hormuz. Their largest foreign purchaser of oil is China. So their largest foreign client just said, no, do not do this. And then the Iranians went along with it. So I would say China definitely flexed a little muscle here and probably comes out looking fairly good. They also come out looking fairly intelligent, that they said, no, you're not going to close the Strait of Hormuz. Another loser in this is the idea of BRICS. People get real excited about BRICS. It's really not much of a thing. It's more clickbaity and internety. Yes, I know there is a real BRICS organization, but the idea that BRICS is going to become this counterweight to American global hegemony or even a counterweight to European power, BRICS could do nothing here. One, it's not a military alliance, economic only. But two, they did not even have any economic muscle they could put behind the Iranians. They couldn't threaten a sanction, or they couldn't offer banking support or anything like that to the Iranians. They're utterly toothless in this. So okay, so that's kind of the obvious and the not so obvious. Let's get to the really obvious. Who are the big winners here? Well, the United States certainly. The United States got to flex our muscle in a couple of different ways. We showed our logistics capacity, our intelligence capacity, our stealth capacity, and the fact that we are the only country in the world that has conventional munitions that can even theoretically take out underground hardened targets. I mean, really underground, really hardened targets. I'm talking the high end bunker busters. We've got them, and that we can deliver them with pinpoint accuracy. Now, whether or not they destroyed the facility, how effective they were, let's get into that in a minute. But if you are any country in the world thinking of a throwdown with the United States, you are looking at this and saying, do we really want to mess with these guys? Because they can drop 15-ton bombs down air shafts at will. And they can hide their aircraft so we won't ever even see them. More or less, I mean, we literally won't even get a shot off at one. Second winner of all of this, by far the biggest winner, is Israel. Obviously, the United States only did the one strike. Israel massacred the Iranian military leadership. They killed off their intelligence leadership. They killed off their nuclear program leadership. They destroyed intelligence facilities, military facilities, air defense, nuclear facilities, all kinds of things. The Iranians couldn't shoot down so much as a single Israeli aircraft. The Iranians were able to hit Tel Aviv, Haifa, and I think Jerusalem several times with missiles, but the vast majority of their missiles were shot down. And every time they were hitting those cities, they were losing $1 million launch vehicles in the process. So it was costing them many millions of dollars to do a single hit on one of these cities. So the Israelis proved that their air defense is very good, that their air power is probably second only to the United States. And also, Israeli intelligence is off the charts good. They have penetrated every level of the Iranian government and military. I mean, to an almost just absurd, comical degree. They knew what the Iranians were doing before the Iranians did. I mean, they really did. It was crazy how good it was. So again, and this is coming on the heels of Israel, decapitating Hamas, really decapitating and gutting Hamas, decapitating Hezbollah, hitting the Houthis. The amount of damage that taking down the Assad regime, the amount of damage the Israelis have done to Iran's proxy setup over on the eastern bank of the Mediterranean is just unbelievable. They've ripped it apart over the last couple of years. So again, if you are a country that is thinking that you want to fight with Israel, you better really think twice about that, because good Lord, are they good at this war thing. They are really good at it. That's not someone you want to get in a fight with. Couple other ways that Israel won that I think are being overlooked. One is the amount of international cooperation they got. The French, the British actively participated in air defense. The Americans participated actively in Israeli air defense. Israel has military connections with the top militaries on earth. The British and the French, they're small militaries, admittedly, but they've got very good training, very good equipment, and they were able to work hand in glove with the Israelis. Same for the Americans. But more importantly, the Israelis got all the help they needed from countries like Jordan or Saudi Arabia. They even got some help from Iraq. The point is that when push came to shove and the Middle East had to make their decisions, who were they going to stand behind, Iran or Israel? They stood behind Israel. Now, I don't think it's because they love the Jewish ethno-state or anything like that, but because at the end of the day, if you're Saudi Arabia or you're Iraq or whatever, you can have all the peace and trade relations you want with Israel, but you may very well not be able to get that with Iran. In fact, you almost certainly can't. So the fact that Israel is willing to do military deals, willing to do trade deals, willing to do normal diplomatic deals, basically the Israeli position of anyone who wants peace with us gets peace, paid off huge in this one. Iran is very isolated right now, very isolated. Israel, not so much. When they called for friends, they had a lot of people pick up that phone. So let me get to the final bit of this, which is other losers, just since we're at it. Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah, any of them looking for any assistance from the Iranian regime, they ain't going to get much, because the Iranians have got so many problems. Think about the rebuilding costs they have on their hands. They're enormous right now. So those organizations are all very much losers because when they say, okay, Iran, we need some money, we need some guns, we need some whatever, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of Iranians saying, we're broke. We got to rebuild Tehran, we got to rebuild this, we got to rebuild that. So final question. Was the Iranian nuclear program destroyed? The answer, no. Is it seriously damaged and set back quite a bit? Absolutely. There are differences of opinions depending on intelligence source as to how badly. The Israelis have consistently said that it is substantial damage and will take them years to recover. The Americans, the DNI, Defense, DI and Defense Intelligence, sorry, get this wrong. The Department of Defense Intelligence Assessment basically said that it was minor damage to Fordo. Trump went absolutely ballistic. He's trying to say it's major damage. Look, I haven't been to Fordo. I don't know what really happened there. But the Israelis have been consistent from the beginning that this was extremely successful. The Israeli intelligence performance over the last several weeks has been mind-bogglingly good, so I'm inclined to believe them. American intelligence doesn't generally agree with that assessment. Trump is pushing incredibly hard to change everybody's mind on that. The Iranians initially said, look, you guys didn't do any damage at all, everything's fine. And then as soon as Trump went ballistic trying to prove that it was destroyed, the Iranians changed their position and said, yep, no, you got it all. You absolutely got it all. I would interpret that as the Iranians thinking, we want to make sure Trump doesn't order follow-up strikes. So we're going to come out and say, you got us, we're destroyed. What is the truth? Guys, I don't know. It is definitely damaged. It is definitely set back. Is it destroyed? No. And here's why. Let's assume for a second that by the way, IAEA has said that none of the uranium was in Fordo. So the enriched uranium supply is still available somewhere. It's the International Atomic Energy Agency. So here's why the Iranian program is not destroyed, is because ultimately it cannot be destroyed. If you killed every single member of it and blew up every single facility they had, every shard of glass, every nut and bolt, every scrap of paper, there's nothing that says the Iranians can't just come out and start all over again. Ultimately, this is a problem that cannot be solved by simply destroying the program. The hope is that the Iranians will say, we have spent so much money on this program, we have suffered so many horrible consequences for it, we are so far away from it being successful, let's give it up. This is just, we need to just stop wasting resources on this. We spend and we spend and we spend, and money and blood and money and blood and money and blood, and we're getting nowhere. Let's just quit. Will they do that? I think not, but that is really the ultimate question. In terms of, are the Iranians getting a nuclear weapon this year, next year, or the next? I would say that is incredibly doubtful at this point. I mean, barring the Russians like providing them one or something like that. But in terms of a homemade nuclear or atomic device, I would say anytime in the next couple of years is unbelievably unlikely. Definitely a victory on that front. Is it permanently disabled or destroyed? No, and it can never be. So either way, those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions and my analysis of everything. Please comment and tell me if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm right, or if you want to make more jokes about me. To the guy who called me Timu Alex Jones, I'm still laughing about that for the last week. So I do enjoy people poking fun at me. So either way, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.